Last week on Wavescan, we gave you a little preview of what's coming up at the Winter SWL Fest in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania, in the Philadelphia area of the United States, March 2nd to 4th. It's the 30th anniversary of the SWL Winter Fest, and it's going to be a big one. Today I want to give you an idea of what's happening on Friday, the 3rd of March, the second day of the Winter SWL Fest. It begins at 0800 hours in the morning with the registration opening and an exhibit room that'll be open all day. At 8:30 in the morning, the first session is called What's Up at RFA. Our good friend Radio Free Asia Program and Operations Support Director AJ Janacek returns with a report on how Radio Free Asia is faring in its efforts to provide reliable news and information to Asian nations. He'll also unveil a little surprise for DXers on the occasion of the 30th Winter SWL Fest. At 9:30 in the morning, there is a session called Internet DXing. Radio listening is changing. We can now stream global broadcasters and those former tropical band stations on our smartphones, tablets, and desktop computers. However, there are many stations that the big aggregators like TuneIn, vTuner, and Shoutcast miss in their postings. Tracy Wood demonstrates how to hunt down those elusive Internet DX targets using search engines, HTML deep dives, packet sniffers, scripts, and online geospatial tools. The joy of DXing truly has returned, albeit it's now Internet style. Then at 11 o'clock in the morning, Pirate Radio Year in Review by George Zeller. He leads the annual discussion of the year in pirate radio. That's followed by lunch. There's a hospitality room and receiver demonstrations open. And then at 1:30 p.m., Going Digital, Better Scanning in the 21st Century. Tom Swisher leads the annual session devoted exclusively to scanners, where up-to-date methods for scanning modern communication systems will be demonstrated and discussed. At 3 p.m., there will be a very interesting session called Farewell to the BBG, What's Ahead for U.S. International Media and the VOA. U.S. government-funded media, Voice of America, Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, Radio Free Asia, Radio TV Marti, and the Middle East Broadcasting Network, are all impacted by legislation signed by President Barack Obama in one of his final acts as president. Our good friend and former Voice of America White House, congressional and foreign correspondent Dan Robinson reviews recent events and offers his views on where things are headed. Then at 4:30 p.m., there is a session called Defining Radio in Software. Mark Phillips provides a 1,000-mile view of what SDR, Software-Defined Radio, is, what it does, how we use it all the time without realizing, and why it's really quite a significant milestone in shortwave listening. Well, after dinner, the hospitality room and receiver demonstrations will reopen, and there will be an informal radio swap meet. At 8 p.m., Zenith Long-Distance Radio and the Highway to DXing. The early work of Zenith Radio Corporation poured gasoline on the flames of early DXing and helped spread the fire to the masses. With a description like that, there has to be an interesting story in there somewhere, and Harold Dr. DX Cones is just the one to tell it. Then at 9:15 p.m., the annual Shortwave Shindig. Join David Gorin and friends for our annual late-night listening hang featuring live music, interviews, and audio pieces exploring the history and aesthetics of the shortwave radio listening experience. At 2200 Eastern Standard Time, that is 0300 UTC, on Friday night, that's actually 0300 UTC Saturday, March 4th, they're going to go live via WRMI Radio Miami International for a 3-hour broadcast, including the best of shortwave's long distance. An open call for shortwave-based audio work, co-sponsored by NASWA, the North American Shortwave Association, and Wave Farm, the media arts organization. Shortwave's Long Distance celebrates the 30th anniversary of the Winter SWL Fest and the 20th anniversary of the organization Wavescan. And that special live transmission on WRMI from Okeechobee will be from 0300 to 0600 UTC March 4th on the frequency of 6855 kilohertz. That's 6855. Now the schedule for Saturday, March 4th at the Winterfest. Registration opens at 8 a.m. in the exhibit room at 8:30. Session called SWLing in Japan, Past, Present, and Future. We're pleased to welcome once again our friend Toshimichi Otaki, joined this year by Sakai Obata, representing the Japan Shortwave Club, and discussing the current state of the hobby there. Of course, the Japan Shortwave Club has a regular report every month here on Wavescan. SWLing was very popular among teenagers in Japan during the 1970s and 1980s, and that influences the hobby still today. At 9:45 a.m., Broadcast FM DX. Russ Edmonds covers FM propagation, receivers, antennas, as well as examples of FM station reception via various propagation modes using audio clips and or RDS software. Then at noon on Saturday, March 4th, it's lunch, of course, and receiver demonstrations are open. At 1:30 p.m., espionage and numbers stations, behind the numbers. We're all familiar with the numbers stations, which have broadcast encoded messages to spies since the start of the Cold War. Websites have been devoted to cataloging the broadcasts, which appear to originate from almost every major and many minor world powers. But who actually are these number stations intended for? Matt Blaze will examine declassified spy cases, how number stations have been used, how the messages are encoded, and why it's considered both secure and practical, how they sometimes fail, and why they've endured for so long. Well, at 4:30 p.m., the exhibit room closes, and at 6 p.m., there will be the beginning of the annual banquet. The keynote speaker this year, Skip Airy. He is N2EI. He's with the American Radio Relay League as the Southern New Jersey section manager and author of Radio Monitoring, a How-To Guide, a longtime contributor to various radio-related publications. The topic of his address will be a 30-year retrospective of the Winter SWL Fest. His talk will be followed by the raffle and the midnight ride of Pancho Villa, will end the Winter SWL Fest for 2017, March 2nd to the 4th in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania. If you want more information, just go to the website for the fest. That's www.swlfest.com. That's www.swlfest.com.